there was something that was on here before that looked like a case to it, but there was nothing in it, right? Okay, let me take a look.
Shabbat shalom, everybody. Good to see you here tonight. Won't you join me? It's okay, you just put that. Page 128. How good to be together on this Shabbat day. Shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei ma tov u'manayim. Shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei ma tov u'manayim. Shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei ma tov u'manayim. Shevet achim gam yachad. Let's all sing together. That's what the psalm is about. Shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei ma tov u'manayim. Shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei ma tov u'manayim. Shevet achim gam yachad. Shabbat shalom, everybody. So good to see all of your faces. So good to be together after a long week. There are so many things that we feel we can put aside, that we can shed psychically for the time being. I know maybe it's easier said than done, but that's the spiritual work. That's the discipline and the muscle of Shabbat that really helps us. And so I know you're already thinking of that one big thing that you want to leave out at the front door of the synagogue, not to come in here and not to pick it up when you get back in your car, because it's just going to stay there for Shabbat. So what is that one thing that needs to stay there? And I know you're looking at me and you're saying, Rabbi, I have to choose one. But yes, just focus on specifically on that one the one thing, Shabbat v'inafash, says the liturgy. We rest and we experience the soulfulness, the life force, the body and the spirit coming together, and to appreciate this special time in the week. We begin every Shabbat in our synagogue by praying for the hostages who are not yet released from captivity. So if you received one of those small pieces of paper, that's just a tiny slip with names on it, it's just a few of us now. I invite you to please take out that piece of paper and please stand up. And those of us who are not standing up, we need the prayer for the hostages, which you got when you came in. And I actually need one too. If Andrea is in here, or Susie, would you mind? And then, thank you, appreciate it. All right, friends, thank you so much. Please do read one by one the names in front of you of the hostages. Let's all rise to join in solidarity with our fellow congregants and with our fellow Jewish brothers and sisters around the world. Acheinu v'achiotenu kol beit Yisrael, hanatunim b'tzara v'shivya, ha'umdim bein bayam uvein bayabasha. Hamakom yerachem alehem v'yotzi'im mitzara l'revacha, u'me'afela l'ora, u'mishiabud l'geula, hashta ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Our brothers and sisters, the whole house of Israel, who are in distress and captivity, who wander over sea and over land, may God have mercy on them and bring them from distress to comfort, from darkness to light, from slavery to redemption, now swiftly and soon, as together we say, Amen. We can have a seat and maybe find somebody to greet who you haven't yet wished a Shabbat Shalom to. Make a new friend. The lighting of the Shabbat candles can be found on page 120, page 120. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher tishanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu le'adiknei shel Shabbat. Page 132, we enter Kabbalat Shabbat, friends. And we light the candles of Shabbat, and so too do we uplift the sparks of light that every righteous person is tasked with picking up. That is what it means to be a Jewish person. That is what Tikkun Olam means, to lift up those little sparks of light and bring more goodness into a world in which there is too much darkness. Goes like this: Or zarua la tzadik u'yishrei lev simcha. Bottom of page 132. Or zarua la tzadik u'yishrei lev simcha. Or zarua la tzadik u'yishrei lev simcha. U'yishrei lev simcha. Or zarua la tzadik u'yishrei lev simcha. U'yishrei lev simcha. Yai dai 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 car stops, we clap twice, real fast. So get ready, here it comes. Words are really easy. Let's hear you. Lecha Dodi, page 138. We sing together verses 1, 2, 3, and 5, and then on verse 9 we rise to greet the Shabbat bride coming into our midst. We face the entrance to the state. There's a call and response here, so I sing Lecha Dodi. Yeah, that always trips us up. Dodi. Try one more time. Lecha Dodi. And then together, Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala. It's right there at the top of the page. B'nei Shabbat Nekabela. Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala. B'nei Shabbat Nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad. Ishmi'anu el hamiuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad. L'shem u'tiferet v'litila. Lecha Dodi, Dodi, Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala. B'nei Shabbat Nekabela. Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala. B'nei Shabbat Nekabela. Nikerat Shabbat Lechu v'neilcha. Ki mekor ha'beracha me'erosh mikedem nesimcha. Sov ma'aseh v'machshava tchila. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala. B'nei Shabbat Nekabela. Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala. B'nei Shabbat Nekabela. Mikdash melech, עיר מלוכה, ומצאי מתוך ההפכה, רב לך שבט בעמק הבכר. והוא יחמול עלייך חמלה, וחדרי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקרא. Verse 5. Hitoreri, hitoreri, piva orech kumiri, uri, uri, shida beri. Toda Adonai alaycha, lechavodi, lekrat kalav, v'neshavat, legavelah, lechadon, lekrat kalav, v'neshavat, Please rise. Boi v'shalom, ateret bala, gam b'simcha u'v'tzola, toch emunei am sgula. Boi chala, lecha dodi, lekrat kala, v'neshavat, legavelah, lechadon, lekrat kala, v'neshavat, Dodi, lecha dodi likrat kala, v'neshavat legavelah, lecha dodi likrat kala, v'neshavat legavelah. Please have a seat and turn the page. We're on page 142. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharetz, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Lochem L'Shalom, Lochem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Ki Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni, bless me. Baruchuni L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Seitem means come again soon. Seitem l'shalom, malachem l'shalom, malachei elyon. Melech malachei amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Just beyond the lie, you've got no excuse. Lie, 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 lie. Well, I hope we're feeling a little more awake to Shabbat and a little more asleep to all of the rest of the human condition that feels like it might be weighing us down. It's a time to celebrate. It's a time to experience joy and oneg, and we will have a festive, delightful oneg potluck after the service. And it's also time to celebrate a birthday. So, where's the birthday boy? Hi, birthday boy. Would you like to come up to the bima? Do you want me to mention the number, or would you prefer that I don't mention the number? Let's go to that mic. It's better to speak into. Okay. So when Ken told me he has a special milestone birthday, I was very excited to honor him because this is a what they call a typological number in Judaism. It's a really big deal number. And it's a number that might used to be considered a Romeo. What does it stand for again? Really old.
Retired old men.
Retired old men eating out. Right. Does everybody know about the Romeos, by the way?
But you don't have to be retired.
But you don't have to be retired. And to my earlier point of where I was going, old is really a matter of speaking because, I mean, it used to be that the age of 70 was considered the age of completion of a full life. And that's why there's a bunch of 70s throughout Judaism. Shiv'im panim la Torah, 70 faces of the Torah. Shiv'im, the choni, the circle drawer, falls asleep for 70 years. There's 70s all over the place because it's seen as, I mean, think about it, like 10 cycles of 7, which is itself a number of completion. So these days, it ain't that old. And nevertheless, it's an age of accomplishment and achievement and one that we want to celebrate. So we have a special birthday blessing for our special birthday boy. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, shenatan mechochmato levasar v'dam. We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe. You give your wisdom to those of flesh and blood. Author of life, our times are in your hand. We thank you for the blessing of life, for everything that enriches our lives. We turn to you now with special gratitude to share in the happiness of Ken, who is a wonderful leader in our community, a longtime temple member, as he marks his 70th birthday. Be with him now and always, as he may be blessed with health and happiness, with strength to overcome sickness and sorrow. And we honor Ken for the gifts that he brings to the sacred community, not least of which being his many years of leadership and his terrific Torah chanting skills, which we always love to hear. And now it's your time. And now it's your turn.
Mishaberach avotenu v'imotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, v'Leah. You have sustained me these many years and brought me to this place in my life's journey. Let me look out with wisdom from the high ground of my years and experiences over the terrain of my life. Let me gaze out toward the past and the future with a heightened sense of your presence as my guide. Let me see that growth is not reserved for any one season and that love and fulfillment are not the exclusive provinces of the young. As I celebrate reaching this moment, I am grateful for the continued unfolding of my life. I pray that kindness and compassion may be on my lips, that strength and courage may be with me in my comings and goings, and that I may continue to learn from and to teach those dear to me. Baruch atah Adonai, v'varech hashanim.
We praise you, God, who blesses this year and every year. Many more good ones to come. And we can participate in the blessing together, friends. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, shehecheyanu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Happy birthday, man. We pick up on page 144. Yitkada v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yamad yivrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon u'v'yomechon, u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala, ba'agala, u'v'zman kariv, v'yimeru, amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach, le'alam u'le'al me'al maya, yitbarach, yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitaleh, v'yithalal shemei dekudesha brichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alema ve'emeru. Please rise, page 146. Baruchu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach le'olam va'ed. Blessing for the evening, page 148. Let's read in English. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tsevaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Umavir yom umehivi laila. Umavdil ben yom uben laila. Adonai Tsevaot shemo. El chai v'kayam tamidim lo chaleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch ata Adonai. Amariv Aravim. Page 151, a meditation on Torah, and Torah as a real symbol of love. Together, as you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch ata Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai echad. Please have a seat. Page 154. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol meodecha ve'hayu ha'devarim ha'eleh asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shiftecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha v'aderech u'v'shochbecha u'v'kumecha u'kishartam le'ot ayadecha v'ayu letotafot bein einecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha leman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'item kedoshim le'elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'elohim ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem emet. I would love to invite all of you to be our prayer leaders for a moment. On page 159, where we recall our freedom song, one that was sung by Moshe, Uvnei Israel, but also Miriam, by Moses and Miriam and all the Israelites. Page 159. Please sing the song of men and women, join in understanding.
Adonai et Yaakov, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
Let's take a look at page 161 for a second. At the top, a simple idea that is incredibly hard to realize. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. It sounds a little cliche maybe, or maybe a little Pollyanna-ish. I was at a Shiva minyan earlier today, and somebody said, he taught us that what really matters is just to think of somebody before yourself, just to be nice. And I know it sounds so obvious, but can you imagine if everyone in our country was just nice to each other? Can you imagine if everyone in our country just thought of the person next to them before themselves? Can you imagine if those in our country who have enough and are not in a situation of emergency and triage would think about another person and the way that their life might be impacted in the world? Just give them one thought before thinking of their own. And I shouldn't say they as though it's them and not us, because really it's all of us. This is something that all of us can be better at. And I have to say, we have a lot of great people in this synagogue. But all of us can do better. It's a challenge that we should rise to in hate-filled times. The best of Judaism has always been countercultural, and it's something that we've been hated for. But it's also something really beautiful about our tradition, that we can always look at what is, just like the meanness and divisiveness and hate and zero-sum thinking and everywhere, and just say, no, there's another way. There's another way. Just because just because I don't remember or never had the experience of not having, that doesn't mean that I can't think of another person first. Let that be our intention when we sing this. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu, Ashkivenu Leshalom. Let there be love. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu, Ashkivenu Leshalom, Ve'amidenu Shomreinu Lechaim, Ufros Aleinu Sukat Shlomecha. Let there be love. Let there be love. Sing it like you believe it. Understanding among us. Sing it like you can be part of it. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from. Sing it like TBT should always represent this. Let there be love. When people drive by, what are they going to think? Standing. Those are some mentions. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Ve'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם, ושמרו בני ישראל
ledorotam berit olam.
Now, there are different categories of blessings within our prayer book. There are blessings for praise, and there are blessings for apology, and there are blessings for petition, for asking for things, bakashot in Hebrew. And just thinking about this before the service, it seems to me that there's basically two categories of things that people ask for. This is a spontaneous thought, not a developed sermon, so you can disagree, and maybe I will disagree after the service, but right now it seems to me that there are basically two things that people ask for in a prayer. One of the things is something that they know that praying won't fix, but they pray for it anyway. And they know that there's no prayer that can fix it, but they pray for it anyway. Another time we could talk about why we do that, because that's actually a deep and important question. But it's something we can agree that people do, right? That we do. The other category of thing is something that can be fixed, but only if we fix it. And so another thing to think about another time, upcoming theology class, is why do we pray to God for these things that we know it's our job to fix? I'm not going to answer that question. I'm going to leave you with that thought in your head. As you're thinking about the things that you want, need, desperately desire, which one is it, the first one or the second one, and do you need to get to work? Between you and you. Please rise, page 164. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vizocher Chasdei Avod Ve'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Lema'an Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagen, Baruch Ata Adonai, Magen Avraham, Ve'ezrat Sarah, Ata Gibor Le'lam Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol Atarav Lehoshia, Mashiv HaRuach, Umorid Agashem, Michalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechayeh HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar, Micha mocha Baal Gevurot, Umido Melach, Melech Meimit, Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman Atal HaChayot HaKol, Baruch Ata Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol, Ata Kadosh, V'shimcha Kadosh, U'Kedoshim B'chol Yom Yihalelu Chasela, Baruch Ata Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. We continue with a moment of tefillah balachash, silent prayer. Please focus on your own prayer through page 180. Take the time that you need and have a seat when you are ready.
ratzon himrefi vehegyon libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri vegoali. Oh, may the words of my mouth, the meditations of my heart be acceptable before you, O God, my rock and my redeemer. O say shalom bimroma. Uyaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru Amen. Moments of stillness bring to mind for many of us those in our lives who are in need of healing of body or of spirit or of mind. And so, as I share the names of those you made known to me, I know you're also thinking of somebody else this week, and you can feel free to share their name as well after I read these names if you would like. We think of Mark and Ellen Warner, David Sokoloff, Wendy Lee, Bruce Petroff, Paul Frisman, Kenneth Schachter, Vivian Liu, Gloria Newell, Harris Sokoloff, Phyllis Balto, Jill Glick, Alice McNeil, Stuart Katz, Hardy Schreiber, Greg Imler, Deanna Garabo Rosenberg, Steve Asness, Michael Bernstein, Jane Lesser, Alma Sori, Chris Swirsky, Bob Jacob, John Van Steenbergen, Carol Robb, Mary Gregory, Randy Retkin, Michael Campanelli, Emily Belgard, Tom Solik, Pamela Johnson, and Jay Flitz. If there are others who we should add to those names, as I come around the room, I invite you to share your loved ones with us. Sam Apfelblatt and Yvonne Apfelblatt. Others, please? Yes. Jonas Rabinovich. Please. Jerry Greenberg. Ann Rosen. Steve Davis. Carol McMahon. Pope Francis. Marilyn, you're a little slower. Marilyn Altapian. We join in prayer for all of them and their healing and strength. Page 371. Mishet Beirach Avoteinu Mekor Abracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, a renewal of body, a renewal of spirit, and let us say, one more special blessing this evening and moving forward. We used to pray regularly for the state of Israel. Lately, we've been having our captives prayer in that place. I'd like for us to say a prayer for our country. This one's on page 516, I think. Remember what I said a moment ago about some prayers that we pray because we know we need to do something? This is that. This is that. Bottom paragraph, page 516. Let's do it. O garden of life and of liberty, may our nation always merit your protection. Teach us to give thanks for what we have by sharing it with those who are in need. Keep our eyes open to the wonders of creation and alert to the care of the earth. May we never be lazy in the work of peace. May we honor those who have died in defense of our ideals. Grant our leaders wisdom and forbearance. May they govern with justice and compassion. Help us all to appreciate one another and to respect the many ways that we may serve you. May our homes be safe from affliction and strife, and our country be sound in body and spirit, as together we say, I have a little interactive text study instead of a sermon tonight. Josh Kalish is going to hand them out to everybody. Thanks, Josh. I think we've got, about enough for one for every two people, roughly. So you might need to share with the person sitting next to you. You might get your own if you're lucky. We're going to be talking about the high priest and his special outfit tonight. That's one of the topics in the Torah portion. And as I was saying earlier today, those of you who were at the funeral, Mr. Alan Sterencier, who passed away, was a very fashionable, dapper man. We just laid him to rest today, so we're studying in his honor. I know that dapper priest might not look like the paragon of modern fashion, but believe me, in the ancient world, this was some bling. And it was not just some bling, but it was holy bling. Look at that getup. Where'd they even find that stuff in the desert? Are you kidding me? Come on. They must have some connections. Thanks, Josh. All right, so here's just a little synopsis of the beginning of chapter 28 in the book of Exodus. We're in Parshat Titzaveh. It's at the top of your page here. Just follow along with me. So God's very important, very meaningfully and differently, God uses the word titzaveh, command, instruct, not just say, but command all who are skillful to make Aaron's garments for glory and for beauty. Aaron, of course, being the high priest, for consecrating him to serve me as priest. These are the garments they are to make: a breastpiece, an ephod, which we'll come back to in a second, a robe, a fringed tunic, a headdress, and a sash. They shall make those sacred garments for your brother Aaron and his sons for priestly service to me. They therefore shall receive the gold, the blue, the purple, the crimson yarns, the fine linen. They shall make the ephod of gold and blue and purple and crimson yarns and of fine twisted linen worked in designs. It has 2 shoulder pieces attached. They should be attached at the 2 ends. And the decorated band that is upon it shall be made like it, of 1 piece with it, of gold, blue, purple, and crimson yarn, of fine twisted linen. Again, this was all happening in the desert. Slaves were making this.
freed slaves were making this stuff somehow. Then they take 2 stones of lapis lazuli. Has anybody ever seen lapis lazuli? Oh, it's just the most beautiful dark shade of blue. Okay, it's kind of a rare stone. And engrave on them the names of the children of Israel, the sons of Israel. 6 of their names on the one stone. Think about these stones on the shoulder as you're reading this. And 6 on the other, in the order of their birth. On the 2 stones you shall make seal engravings, the work of a lapidary, of the names of the children of Israel. And here we don't mean, when it says children of Israel, it's not talking about like any Jew, right? Who's it specifically talking about? The sons of Jacob, like the famous ones. Remember? And there was, and anybody? Asher and Gad and yes, the Andrew Lloyd Webber fans in the room. Yes. The famous tribes are named after them for the most part. Okay, so all of their names are to be engraved on these stones. That's part of this ephod, which is sort of like an apron sort of thing. There's an illustration of it. We think that's what it looked like, something like that. Anyway, this is obviously interpretation. And this high priest is literally carrying on each shoulder these fancy stones engraved with the names of the ancestors. So it's a unique thing to be told to do. Did you know that the high priest had special inscriptions on those stones? It's kind of hidden there in this chapter of the book of Exodus. Turn the page over for a second. So this is what the end of that section, and then there's more about the different items, but we don't have time tonight. And this is the last part of that section about the ephod. It says, "V'samta et shtei ha'avanim al kitpot ha'ephod," and you will put 2 stones upon the shoulders of the ephod, the stones of memorial to children of Israel, and Aaron will bear their names before the Eternal upon his 2 shoulders for a memorial. So it's repeating that a couple of times, and when things are repeated about what these stones are, whose names there are, and where they're going, commentators are going to look at that and say, this must be really important. There must be a reason for all of this emphasis. And of course, for a reason for the stones having these inscriptions in the first place. I brought you a Hasidic teaching here that's in the middle of the page that's responding to this. It says specifically on the shoulders and nowhere else. In other words, it's responding to the implicit question, what? Why specifically there? The guy's got stones all over. He's covered in bling. There's stones on the breastplate. There's fancy weaving everywhere. Why specifically on the shoulders? Say again? The weight? The weight. That's your answer? Okay. Is that your answer, or are you summarizing what you just read here? That's your personal answer. Okay, your final answer. Good to know. All right. I'll remember that for the... Interesting. Okay, the weight of the world. Before we look at the commentary, did anybody else have a reaction that they would like to share? Or did you already read ahead, as I would have done? I mean, we certainly have modern figures of speech for this, right? He's got the weight of the world on his shoulders, right? We stand on the shoulders of giants. I feel the weight of history on my shoulders. I wrote that recently. It's true. I do feel that way. So, yeah, I've got to shoulder that, right? I mean, it's a very universal human thing. If you don't got a donkey, you put it on you. We are the beast of burden in this case. So the Ber Maim Chaim, who's a 1700s Hasidic commentary, says, specifically on his shoulders and nowhere else, this was symbolic of the fact that Aaron had to carry the Israelites on his shoulder, like a person who carries his child there to protect him and save him from any danger. Cooper, did dad or mom used to carry you on their shoulders? Do you want to ask them? Do you have the classic picture from a theme park or a Disneyland where you're walking all over the place and the most efficient way to not lose a toddler and also delight them at the same time, especially when there's plenty of headspace? I can't really do this in my house because I'm so tall and Levi is now tall enough that he'll bonk his head on the ceiling. But yeah, when we're outside, it's so fun for everybody, right? It's great. I think now they even have little devices that you can buy and basically make it into a little backpack where you have a little platform against your neck. Anyway, they make everything these days. So on the one hand, there's this beautiful kind of parental image of lifting the child up and carrying them. But there's another side to this too. What does he say? He says, the person carries his child there to protect him and save him from any danger. So there's not just an element of delight and fun at the amusement park or the Durham Fair or wherever they happen to be walking around, but there's also this idea that there's danger around and they have to lift them up high to protect them there. Thus, throughout the generations, the high priest, through his merit, had to protect the Jewish people from any evil. Well, how do you think you would feel if you were a high priest and you assumed that mantle, so to speak? I mean, not even Moses had to do this. It doesn't say that the prophet has to do this. It's a job for the high priest. Carrying those Israelites on his shoulders, right? And not just Aaron, but every subsequent high priest has the same responsibility of carrying these stones. The names don't change. What they symbolize doesn't change. You have to imagine that every generation, those names of the children of Israel, which I want to believe, by the way, also includes the daughter, which is not explicitly mentioned here. I want to believe that all of the children are included. Every single generation, the weight of that gets a new generation of people. And I would suggest that it's two things happening here at the same time. It's backward facing. It's remembering the ancestors, just like we did when we prayed to God on the merit of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. But it's also carrying the responsibility to build something, the responsibility to uphold God's law, the responsibility to protect our heritage, the responsibility to keep the community safe, which those of you who have ever studied the skin disease Torah portion know that part of the way that the priests had a big job was to keep the community safe, right? And that's a responsibility that literally is weighing on the shoulders of the high priest. One that I hope they would be happy to take on, but one that I think any leader who feels that they're protecting something from the past must feel. Have you ever been in that position where you take on a role, where you feel like there's a weight on your shoulders to do something, to remember how things used to be, but also to carry it into the future? That's really, I think, ritually, specifically, and with clothing, the way that the high priest is embodying it. Now, I wanted to share this other text with you. We don't have time, unfortunately, for a lengthy discussion about this. The next one is asking the question, when we get dressed up in fancy clothes, who is it for? I have this feeling all the time when I look at the Oscars, by the way. Anybody watch the Oscars recently? And when you put on clothes, who is it for? Is it for you, or is it for everyone else? Can you think of a time when it's been both? Either one? Yeah, this comment is about how, people might want to judge or feel inspired by looking at the finery, but ultimately the point of what is beautiful, just like how we have on our Sifrei Torah today, the fancy clothing that's modeled after the high priest. The point of it is not that we're so awed and impressed by it. The point is that it is a sign of inherent holiness, and that is a badge of honor to wear. It's sort of the way I feel every time I put on a talit. I feel like I know I'm not going to win any fashion awards at the Oscars with my talit, but I think it's pretty good looking. And more importantly, I think that it gives me a sense of pride in what I carry, in who I am. So, I don't feel like I'm the high priest. I'm guessing you probably don't feel like you're quite the high priest. But all of us do have the weight of being Jewish on our shoulders, do we not? All of us do carry the memories of our ancestors and the benefit of the decisions they made so that we could live as Jews here, right? And all of us carry that responsibility forward. All of us have a responsibility to the next generation to make sure that what we're carrying through endures, right? So my challenge for us tonight is, what would it feel like for when you put on your talit or your kippah or whatever other Jewish garment you wear? Imagine when you put whatever clothing on and you go out into the world. Imagine that you're carrying not just a piece of fabric, but the names and legacies of your ancestors who allowed you to be here in this moment. Imagine that you're carrying the memory of your ancestors and also the promise of a future generation. How would it change your attitude toward our responsibilities as Jews, as people in our family, as members of this country? How would it change our sense of self to think that on our shoulders is the past and the promise of the future, all at once? Maybe it feels a little weighty sometimes, but also the purpose, the meaning. Each of us have that special meaning. Each of us have that mission in our lives. It's not always the same from one to the other of us, but each of us have a specific meaning, and it's all to do with where we came from and where we're going. Shabbat Shalom. We now move to the concluding prayers of our service, beginning with Aleinu L'Shabeach, page 586. Please rise. Aleinu L'Shabeach La'adon HaKol, Lateit Gidula Le'otzer Breshit, Shelo Asanu Kigoyei Ha'aratzot, Velo Samanu Kimishpechot Ha'adama, Shelo Sam Chelkeinu Kahem, V'gor Aleinu Kechol Hamonam, V'anachnu Koreim, Umishtachavim Umodim, Lifnei Melech Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, page 591. V'ne'emar Vaya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz, Bayomahu Yeh Adonai echad, Ushemo echad. Please have a seat. A moment ago, I mentioned Ellen Sterencier, Alav HaShalom, who we just laid to rest. We think of his wife, Margie, and his daughter, Amy, and their entire family in this moment of memory as they begin Shiva. As I read the name of your loved one for Yartai, please feel free to rise as I read that name and stay standing if you're comfortable doing so. Ira Goldman, Arnold Winokur, Martha Feingold, Sarah Garth, Paul Rowland, Toby Ruth Geller, Diane Bell, Carl Schlam, Rena Sack, Sidney Geringer, George Cohn, Paul Goodman, Richard Joseph Oppenheimer, Lisa Green, Ira Goldman, Sally Aaronworth, Gilbert Oremland, and Anna Gendel. If there are others who are saying Kaddish for an immediate loved one who has passed away within the last year or at this time in years gone by, I invite you to please rise, be recognized among the mourners of our community. I invite all of us then to rise in solidarity as we recite these hallowed words of Mourner's Kaddish, page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah,
Ve'alma divrach chirutei ve'amlich malchutei. V'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael. V'agala u'vizman kariv ve'imru. Yehei shemei rabba mevorach le'alam u'le'almei amaya. V'yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudesha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata d'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Uyaseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru. Amen. May the source of peace bring peace to us and comfort to every bereaved heart in our community. Together we say, Oseh shalom b'mromav. Uyaseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'imeru. Amen. Please have a seat, everyone. Andrea San Marco is here to greet us on behalf of our board. Hi, Andrea. Sure, if it works. If it doesn't, go to that one.
Shabbat Shalom. And a warm welcome to all guests here with us tonight. I'm Andrea San Marco, Director of Human Resources. As I read these announcements, please keep in mind that all details are in your inbox and your link in your shofar and shofar blasts. Join us tomorrow at 9 a.m. on Zoom only for Torah study led by Rabbi Moss. A reminder to parents that there is no religious school on Sunday, but there is a Havarim men's group having bagels and a schmooze at 10 a.m. Oh, okay. Voting for the World Zionist Congress begins in just 3 days. It is important for all of us to help secure Israel's future. Consult the poster in the lobby and check your inbox. And I believe voting will be open till May, beginning of May, so it's actually very important that everyone votes reform so we secure billions of dollars.
I don't think we'll get all the billions, but we want as many of those billions as possible.
All right. Purim is on March 13th. Rachel Polakar will be directing our Wicked-themed spiel. It is not to be missed. Salty's Purim Carnival will be on the 16th. And there's even more learning, music, and fun coming up this month at TBT. Check out the March Shofar for the Solitica music program, Rabbi Moss's What is Judaism class, and much more. Now is the time to sign up. David, what's the exact date of the Solitica weekend? The 30th, right? Okay, so Sunday, March 30th at 3:30 here at TBT. Not to be missed. Now's the time to sign up. Okay. Please RSVP and make sure you are right. Okay. And there will be refreshments. March 30th, 3:30 at TBT. Perfect. The Social Justice Committee wants to remind those with March birthdays to consider donating groceries and household items to our local food pantries. You may drop off items in the basket located in the TBT vestibule. Lastly, remember to spring forward on Saturday evening. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thanks, Andrea.
There will not be refreshments at my class, but you should still come to my class. There will, however, be refreshments right now after the end of the service, where we will go straight to the social hall to greet one another, make kiddush, and enjoy a little nosh that you provided. So thank you, and thank you to Tanis for coordinating various onegs and delightful dinners. Now, our closing song, Adon Olam, page 625. Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem kol Yitzir Nivra, Leit Nasa, V'chefzo kol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam, Ve'acharei Kichlot HaKol, Levado Yimloch Nora Adon Olam, Ve'hu Haya, Ve'hu Ove, Ve'hu Yeh B'tifara Adon Olam, Asher Malach, בטרם כל יציר נברא, לעת נשא וחפצו כל. אזי מלך שמו נקרא אדון עולם, והוא אחד ואין שני, להמשילו להכביר אדון עולם. בלי ראשית, בלי תכלית, ולא העוז והמשרה, אדון עולם, אדון עולם. אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא, לעת נשא וחפצו כל. אזי מלך שמו נקרא אדון עולם, והוא אלי וחי גואלי, וצור חבלי בעת צרה, אדון עולם. והוא ניסי ומנוס לי, מנת כוסי ביום אקרא, אדון עולם, אדון עולם. אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא, לעת נשא וחפצו כל. אזי מלך שמו נקרא אדון עולם, בידו אפקיד רוחי, בעת אישן ואירה, אדון עולם. ואם רוחי גוויעתי, אדוני לי ולא אירא, אדון olam. May God bless us all, my dear friends, and bless us with the greatest gift, the gift to act where we need to act and be who we need to be. Shabbat Shalom.